Welcome back, investors. In today's video I want to talk about Kempharm, ticker KMPH. For those of you that follow the channel, you might know this already, but to those of you that don't follow the channel, this is actually the very first stock that I covered. I was so bullish on this stock that I actually decided to create a YouTube channel and make a video about it, because I feel that the potential here is incredible. If you follow the channel, then you probably already know the format of my videos, but for those of you that are new, today we're going to be looking at who exactly are Kempharm, what they do, their drugs and their pipeline. We will look at the very latest news, as well as some things that have happened in the past few months and what's coming up soon. We will look very briefly at analyst price targets and look at the technical charts and the company's most recent financial statements. And then I'll give you my prediction on where I think we're going. So before we get into the video, it takes a lot of time to do this research, so if you find any value in this video, can I ask you to smash that like button? It literally costs nothing, but it helps me out so much. I'm aiming to get 150 likes on this video. Help me make that happen. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any new content like this. It's 100% free and it's a great way to show your support for the channel. And if you want, feel free to follow me on Twitter or to join the Facebook group. Links in the description. So what do you think of Kempharm? Have you invested and what price targets do you have? I want to point out that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Now let's get into it. So who are Kempharm? Kempharm is a specialty pharmaceutical company focused on the discovery and development of proprietary prodrugs to treat serious medical conditions through its proprietary LAT technology. They use this technology to generate improved prodrug versions of already FDA approved drugs, as well as to generate prodrug versions of existing compounds that may have applications for new disease indications. Kempharm's prodrug product pipeline is focused on the high need areas of ADHD and stimulant use disorder. This is a company that only last year was in serious financial hardship, had been kicked off the Nasdaq for failing to keep up their share price above the minimum level, and at one point had spiraling debts. For anyone who wants to know more about the company, I've covered this in my previous two videos where I've covered their financial background and their capital restructuring, their partnerships with Corium and the relationship that existed between the management of Kempharm and Corium going back as far as New River Pharmaceuticals that was bought out by Shire for $2.6 billion. This deal took place following the launch of Vyvanse. It was the world's last major ADHD drug to be developed until Kempharm's Azstaryz. Basically, in the first two videos I covered all about the company up to the FDA approval for their drug candidate KP415, which became Azstaryz. And then in my second video I covered everything that went on after the FDA approval. I talked about the share price fluctuations and analyst coverage in the weeks after getting the FDA approval. Now, something that I mentioned in the previous videos that I didn't go into too much detail on was the other drugs in Kempharm's pipeline. KP879. This is a drug that was fast tracked to get clinical trials beginning sometime in the middle of this year, which should be very soon now. Between KP879 and Kempharm enthusiastically continuing the commercial launch preparations to bring Azstaryz to the US market as early as the second half of 2021, I believe that this is a very exciting time for Kempharm. So let's look at some very recent news. First of all, Kempharm announces Orange Book listing of 6 patents covering SDX and confirmation of NCE status. Approved drug products with therapeutic equivalence evaluations, commonly known as the Orange Book. In addition, the Orange Book listing confirms the status of SDX, which is the primary API in Azstaryz, as a new chemical entity or NCE. And most importantly, this provides at least 5 years of market exclusivity. This is something that I spoke about before. The patent on which the current ADHD drug is based is due to expire in the next couple of years. So to have this NCE status is fantastic. During the NCE exclusivity period, the FDA cannot approve a new drug application, an abbreviated new drug application, or an application for another product based on the same API regardless of indication. If another party attempts to rely upon the clinical data for SDX for a generic or other new drug application, which cannot be filed prior to 4 years post-approval, the patent holders can sue and receive an automatic 30-month stay, which has the practical implication of extending the patent period for an additional 2.5 years. Patents listed in the Orange Book cover drugs that the FDA has approved and deemed both safe and effective for the general public use. Inclusion in the book's list of patents can make it easier for drug makers to monitor for new generic drugs that could potentially arrive on the US market and infringement on their own patents. As we can see here, Azstaryz was conditionally approved by the FDA in March 2021 as a once-daily product for the treatment of attention deficit hyperactive disorder in patients aged 6 years and older. Recently, SDX was classified as a Schedule IV controlled substance by the US Drug Enforcement Administration and thereby formally approved for marketing in the US. SDX is the primary API in KP484, an investigational ADHD treatment, and the only API in KP879, an investigational treatment for stimulant use disorder. In just a few days' time, Kempharm will be added to the Russell 2000 and Russell 3000 indices, in accordance with the 2021 Russell Indices Annual Reconstitution. Kempharm's anticipated inclusion will be effective after the US market opens on Monday the 28th of June 2021. This is the latest milestone during what has been a truly transformational year for the company. The inclusion is an important validation that should help our efforts to propel long-term shareholder value. Very important there, management want to propel long-term shareholder value, and it expands awareness of Kempharm within the investment community, increase the liquidity of the stock and broaden the shareholder base. Inclusion in the Russell 3000 index also means automatic inclusion in either large cap Russell 1000 or the small cap Russell 2000. Approximately $10.6 trillion in assets are benchmarked against Russell US indices. Now, looking here at a recent letter from CEO Travis Mickle to the Kempharm shareholders, he highlights some of the company's successes over the past 12 months. In parallel, we have completed a substantial financial restructuring that removed all debt from our balance sheet and brought in both dilutive and non-dilutive cash to bolster our balance sheet. As at March 31st, 2021, we reported a cash balance of $76 million and have since received another $20 million in regulatory milestone payments, and they are set to have an even greater cash balance very soon, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. In short, we have met or exceeded all the goals set forth for our 2020 shareholders letter, and as a result, Kempharm is poised for what has the potential to be a period of sustained growth. I am pleased to share with you all that has been accomplished and what is to be expected soon. So Travis Mickle is very happy with the year that Kempharm has had, and let's be honest, it's been a great year for the company and any long-term shareholders. Now, something that was talked about a lot after the approval of Azstaryz was the milestone payments and the licensing agreement GPC, Garnet Point Capital, and the next paragraph clears up a lot of the confusion regarding this. The licensing agreement between Kempharm and its affiliate of GPC was amended to redirect certain upfront milestone payments back to the commercialization effort. In exchange, the total potential regulatory and sales milestone payments for Kempharm were increased from $468 million to $590 million, with 4 new sales milestone tiers and a new top-level tier for royalties added. We view this as a significant opportunity for Kempharm, as the uptake for Azstaryz could be strong given the differentiated product characteristics, which we believe directly address key needs described by prescribers, patients and payers. As such, we want to ensure successful commercialization of Azstaryz given its potential to generate substantial value for Kempharm shareholders. So the company really wants to give back to those shareholders that stuck with them through the tough times over the past 12 months. The letter continues then with the most recent Orange Book listing of patents, which we've already talked about, the financial restructuring, removing debt and strengthening the balance sheet, which we've mentioned and I've talked about in detail in previous videos, and we'll look a little bit more at that when we look at the financial statements in just a few moments. So let's move on to the outlook for the future. The outlook at Kempharm is extremely optimistic, given what we have accomplished and what lays ahead. Central to this optimism is the anticipated commercialization of Azstaryz. Our observations thus far lead us to believe that the launch will be successful and the potential to achieve a solid market position. Beyond Azstaryz, we expect to soon initiate the clinical program for KP879 and advance its development as the first potential treatment for SUD. We are also exploring additional treatment opportunities with SDX given its unique properties, the strength of its IP estate, the Schedule IV classification. Meanwhile, our R&D programs built upon our LAT prodrug technology are rapidly advancing. So let's look at the most recent financial statements. As we can see here, looking at the balance sheet as at March 31st, the company had total assets of 90.5 million. Of this, 76 million was made up of cash and cash equivalents, with 11.3 million made up of accounts and other receivables. This is a huge difference from the December 2020 figures, which had assets of 11 million, of which 4 million was made up of cash. Overall, Kempharm's assets have increased eightfold in the past 3 months. Then looking at the liabilities, we can see here that they have total liabilities of 6.2 million, of which current assets amounts to 4 million. In total, at year-end 2020, the company had liabilities that were 7 times greater than their assets. However, by March 31st, thanks to the capital restructuring, equity offering and milestone payments, they now have 90 million in total assets versus 6 million in total liabilities, giving Kempharm an asset to liability ratio of 15:1, which in this industry is absolutely fantastic. Looking at the income statement, we can see that they had revenue of 12 million and total income from operations of 6.9 million. This compares very favourably to the same period last year, where revenue was 2 million and they recorded a 3.7 million loss. Then we have expenses, which include the loss on extinguishment of debt and a deemed dividend, which gives a total net loss for the year of 47.7 million. We can also see here that there is a line for income tax benefit. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. I think it's very important to note here that these two major expenses, the extinguishment of debt and the dividend, are not recurring expenses. These are one-off expenses, so I expect that we will not see losses on the accounts going forward, especially with the commercialization of Azstaryz starting in early Q3. Now, I mentioned that income tax benefit just a second ago. Looking here at page 116 of the notes, we can see this very important note here. As of March 31st, 2021, we had federal net operating loss carry-forwards of approximately 226 million due to prior period losses. 138 million of this, if not utilised, will begin to expire in 2027. Now, the fact that these might expire in 2027 isn't concerning. What's important here is that they have loss carry-forwards of approximately $226 million. So for any profits that they make in the coming years, they can use these losses against those profits. As soon as we start to see profits here, we will see an income tax benefit be included in the accounts to offset the profits. Now, I mentioned a few moments ago that the balance sheet was going to be further increased very soon, so let's take a look at that now. On June 18th, Kempharm announced that it had entered into agreements with the holders of existing warrants exercisable for 6.1 million shares of the common stock, and also issue a private placement of new warrants to purchase up to 1.5 million shares of its common stock. The aggregate gross proceeds from the exercise of the existing warrants and the issuance of the new warrants are expected to total approximately 39 million before deducting financial advisory fees. Now, I just want to say that this is not necessarily a bad thing. They are issuing these at an issue price of $16.50, which is above the current price and well above any price the stock has reached over the past year. The only time I've seen the share price go higher than this was on the announcement of FDA approval of Azstaryz, and that didn't last for more than a few hours. So if the company is going to raise capital, it is better to do it when the price is high so that they can raise more capital by issuing less shares. So therefore there is less impact dilution on shareholders. Looking at tip ranks, we can see that the average price target is $19, with a high forecast of 28 and a low forecast of 10. The average price target represents a 33% upside from the last price of $14.20. And we can see here that there's one buy rating and one hold rating. I talked about this hold rating in my previous video. This was set by H.C. Wainwright analyst Oren Livnat, who immediately after the FDA approval decided to slash his price target from $24 down to $12 and his buy rating down to a hold rating. Now we can see here, looking at TradingView, that the share price had been moving in this sideways channel basically throughout April and into the middle of May, regularly going between probably $8.50 and up to about $10, before it slowly started to rise there around May 15th and moved in this upward channel, hitting a high point of about $15 in the middle of June, before a recent pullback to its current price at $14.20. Now we can see even with this pullback, it hasn't broke through this line of support. So I think this will continue to keep moving in this upward movement. We can also see here that there's been a sizable increase in trade volume over the past few weeks, and I see no reason for this not to continue. Any news regarding Azstaryz or news on the clinical trials of KP879 would certainly help propel the share price upwards in the coming weeks. So guys, that brings us to the end of the video. Before I give you my final thoughts, if you've watched all the way through, then please hit that like button. It takes more time than you could imagine to research these companies and make these videos. If you're new to the channel, remember to hit that subscribe button and bell notification. As I've been saying all month, I want to give back to my viewers and will be doing so before the end of the month. Like and subscribe to take part, more details coming in the coming week. And leave a comment down below to say that you've liked and subscribed so that I know. So what do I think? The more I research Kempharm, the more I like the company and its management. This is a company led by Travis Mickle, who has dedicated his whole career to the development of these ADHD drugs. Let's not forget that the biggest approval for ADHD was Vyvanse in 2009 by New River Pharmaceuticals, which at the time was led by none other than Travis Mickle. I always like to look at management's previous successes to try and find an indication of future success, and when I look at this company, everything points towards more success. Heading into the second half of 2021, I feel confident about Kempharm's future successes. Now that they have improved milestone terms, clinical trials for KP879 beginning soon, and they're completely debt-free. Usually companies in this space have massive debts or extreme share dilution, but Kempharm is not only debt-free, but they now have approximately 100 million on the balance sheet in cash, and I believe that they'll be profitable very soon. And then they have losses to offset these profits. I expect that a lot of their cash will be put towards the marketing and sales efforts of their current pipeline. And given that their current market cap is less than $500 million, I expect this to reach a share price of at least $40 this year, and this is a low estimate in my opinion. But as always guys, this is just my opinion. And if anyone is thinking about buying this stock, I encourage you to do your own research, and if you find anything of interest that I've not mentioned in any of my videos, leave a comment and I'll look into it. As I said before, I'm not a financial advisor, this is not financial advice. Thanks for watching the video. What are your thoughts on the future of Kempharm? Have you been invested for long, and what are your price targets? Leave a comment down below and I'll catch you in the next one.